Alright, so I finally got settled, got my coffee. I'm at Barnes & Noble's. I have been just busy all morning with the USCIS interview I told you guys about earlier. So I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about what happened today and just encourage any one of you who has already applied for a green card and you're currently in a waiting process for your interview to know that it's going to be okay. It's not that bad if you just follow the instructions and provide everything you need to provide. It's not that bad, okay? Anyway, so this is how it goes. The process: you apply and then you wait maybe like 10 to 12 months. In this case, we waited for 10 months, and then you receive your interview letter. That letter is just going to say, hey, we've received your package and we've reviewed it, so now you need to come in for an interview, practically. And if it's a marriage-based green card, which it was today, the spouse of a U.S. citizen applied for her green card through her spouse. They would ask you to bring your spouse because you have to have your petitioner with you to, I guess, answer some questions and prove that the marriage is real, because that's also one of the requirements for a marriage-based green card. Okay, so you would, there'll be instructions on the letter about what you need to do, like the time to arrive 15 minutes before the time. In the past, before the pandemic, it was arrive 30 minutes to an hour before the time. Okay, there are several protocols that occurs when you're going for an interview. Like it's almost like you're going to an airport or something. You have to take off your shoes, put your purse in a container, do all of that before you then go to the waiting area, sit down and wait to be called. But today and during this pandemic, it wasn't like that. The instructions said arrive 15 minutes early because they want people to just wait in their cars. So when it's 15 minutes to your time, let's say your interview's at 9, so at 8:45 you should go to the door and then wait. So at the door, the officer comes in, comes outside and calls you and your party, to come in. And then you come in, you show your ID, you show your letter, because you have to have your letter on the day of your interview. And then you are then escorted to the area where it's a security check. You're escorted to the security check where you take out your shoes, take out your purse, your phone, all of that, put it in the bowl, and then go through that. So once that's done, it was a whole standing thing today. We didn't get to sit down anywhere. In the past, we'll just walk in after all the process, sit down, and then wait to be called. Now we're just standing on the little X's. There were little X's. I guess it was for the 6 feet apart thing for the COVID. So there were these X's, so you just stand in your little X's and someone walks up to you, looks at your notice, checks you in that area, and then assigns you to a window. So the windows, this was something really different for me because I had to ask, because I'm used to the interviews happening in the back office just with your particular agent, away from everyone, but now it was a window. So I was like, okay, that's new. It's a window with the glass and everything. In fact, some of the interviews I heard have been happening virtually even, but in this case, we're asked to come in. So that's why there was the glass, just to protect everyone. We all had our masks. It's even on the letter, you have to have your mask. So we had our masks, and then they told us our window number. We just kind of stood around, hung around, and once it was our turn, this took like maybe 5 minutes. And our own agent then came out and just directed us to his window. And then at that point, we're able to, well, not me, the clients, I was just observing. Typically when you go in with your attorney just observes and then answers any questions that they ask the attorney directly. Your attorney can't really answer questions for you. It was just more like a support thing. So I was just standing back, and then my clients were asked to swear in, say your name, swear that everything that you're going to say today is going to be the truth and the whole truth and all that stuff. And then they did that, and then we sat down. So when you sit down, the agent, depending on the process of the particular agent you have, they will pretty much tell you their process. Like, I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to need to see this, and that. In our case, he just wanted to see IDs and he wanted to see passports. So remember that when you're going for your interview, you should have the original copies of everything that you sent in with your original package, you should have sent in copies of your passport. So now he's going to ask you to show him your actual passport, okay? So make sure you have that. Check your folders the night before your interview to prepare, because preparation is key when it comes to USCIS or immigration applications, just anything like that. Preparation is key. Everything they want can be found. You just have to make sure you have it, all right? So then after that, showed IDs, showed passport, then he started with the questions. Now the questioning section went on for a while. Let's say 30 minutes, because it's not just questions directly at you. It's going to be questions from the forms to kind of verify that you answered the form correctly. In fact, if you made a mistake during your initial application, now is the time to actually make corrections. Let's say you misrepresented a fact or something, or it might not even be misrepresentation, just a simple mistake like a spelling error or something like that. You have the chance during your interview to correct that. So he's going to go over all the questions on interview. The main one I want to talk about today was the question about how you entered into the U.S. He's going to ask what kind of visa or the date you entered and all that stuff. That's important. That's important to know for you when you're going for an interview, because for an adjustment of status to take place, the beneficiary has to have entered the U.S. legally, okay? Legal entry and inspection at the border is definitely a requirement for a marriage-based adjustment of status. So he asked that question today, and if my client was not properly inspected, I assume that the interview will probably end at that point and you just get a denial, or you would then be asked to either do a consulate process or something like that. But I just know that if you have not been inspected properly, meaning like you didn't come in with a visa, whether it's a visitor's visa or a student visa, any kind of non-immigrant visa that you came into the U.S. with, they're going to want to know that. So be ready to answer questions about your entry. All right. Entry is at the end of the questioning, you'll have to sign your I-485 again. If you look very closely on your I-485, there's a page in the back that we don't sign when you first file. That page is to be signed on the day of the interview. So it's important to leave that page blank, because your agent, whoever is conducting your interview, would make some notes there and have you sign it in front of him there, okay? So that's the purpose of that page. So then after all that questioning about the form and those specific questions, then he goes into bona fide marriage questions. He wants to know about the relationship, the couple, because the reason why the beneficiary deserves the green card is because of the relationship with the U.S. citizen. And if that relationship is not legit, if they can't prove to the officer during this interview that the relationship is legit, I think they'll face problems. It'll raise red flags. So the first question, naturally, I do this with my clients during the interview prep, is how did you meet? How did you meet your spouse? That's, I mean, if it's a real marriage, everyone remembers how they met their spouse. So that's the first question that kind of leads into other questions about your marriage, where you lived, your addresses, and just things you've done together. And if you have more pictures at that time, the officer is going to ask to see them. Thankfully, my clients have been together for a very long time, and we had everything in that package and everything was good to go. So it was pretty much, we're just pretty much having fun and like chit-chatting at this point, because he already knew that my clients had a bona fide marriage. We're able to prove all of that in the package, and he already knew that my client was pretty much going to get her green card. So, because he said that even before we started, all of this was just formalities just to verify everything that we answered in the beginning, and to make sure that everything is still the same as when we answered, okay? So, you know, immigration waiting process takes forever and things change over time. Let's say you answered no to being a member of a group or something. I can't think of any of the questions right now, but let's just say you answered no when you were filling out your application, and then 10 months later you've already joined some group. They're going to ask you again, and at that time you should say yes. You can reach out to me if you have more questions about the interview process and the questions, so I can go over it with you particularly in detail. But now I'm just kind of summarizing what I remember generally. Yeah, so after the interview, your officer, the agent, then tells you what happens next. Either, hey, congrats, welcome to the U.S., you would expect your card in the mail, or hey, your application looks great, however, we still need XYZ, and then they will send you an RFE to send that, and then maybe you get approved, maybe you get denied. Just depends on what was asked or what was missing. In some cases, if you're missing your I-864 or it's not sufficient, maybe your sponsor is not able to, or your sponsor is not making enough to support both of you, or the amount of dependents the person has, that could raise a red flag and cause a lot of issues. So you know, at that point you'll probably get an RFE or something, or maybe a denial, which you have an opportunity to respond to by doing a motion to open or reconsider. And in immigration, there's usually always a remedy, except you have a permanent bar or you committed a crime that makes you inadmissible. There's usually a workaround any USCIS decision. It's best to contact an attorney who has experienced several different situations to guide you through a process that works best for you. So don't take advice from your friends or people who are not lawyers, just telling you, hey, file asylum, or hey, file this or file that. You don't really know the repercussions, you know, down the line. And that's something you definitely want to talk to an attorney about, okay? Now, generally, I'll just say the way your interview goes is pretty much up to you and how you prepared prior to attending. If you are competent, you have all your information, you have all your answers ready, even to questions that may be uncomfortable. Sometimes, let's say a couple does not live together for whatever reason. You may think like, oh shit, I should probably say we live together so they won't think our marriage is fake or something. I mean, that's gonna be a lie, and that's gonna cause other misrepresentation issues. So it's better to just say, well, we don't live together because this and that. If you're working with an attorney, you'll be able to come up with a good, convincing answer that would be most favorable to you, as opposed to lying. You know what I mean? So things are not always perfect. There's always reason to either not know the answer to a question just because you forgot in that moment. Just say I forgot, or look to your spouse for the answer, or just be as natural as possible. Okay, they're not expecting robots. I've had different experiences with interviews. I've had an experience where it was so robotic, like the client was just scared. In fact, she couldn't even hear the questions. It would always be like, huh? Just because she was scared. And I understand that. So I had to, that's where having an attorney in the room comes in. I had to pretty much repeat all the questions and just make her feel comfortable to be able to answer truthfully, at least have a good, at least show good body language that she's not scared or she's not hiding something, and then just, you know, gives the wrong answer. I hope that has helped someone today. Anyone of you who is currently waiting for your interview date, you're checking the mail every day. It can be exciting, it can be stressful. It's just a lot of emotions going on when it comes to immigration and just waiting. So reach out to an experienced immigration attorney who can guide you through the process, reduce the stress in your life, ask questions. My name is Ify. I'm here to help you solve problems. That's my goal. If you have any questions about your case, if you've already filed, let's say you've been waiting for too long and you have not heard anything back, like no interview, no RFEs, nothing, just no update, reach out to me and I can help you contact the USCIS and really inquire about the status of your case and hopefully get back a response within 30 days. So Again, my name is Ify. My information will be in this video as usual. Connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I will be making videos like this weekly. If you have any questions that maybe I did not answer in this video, feel free to leave that in the comment and I will get you an answer as soon as I can. All right? Okay, anyway. Have a blessed day, you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.